Alright, so the market bouncing back up here again after pulling back. It really hasn't gone anywhere today. You can see the SPY is just up 0.2% right now. Johnson & Johnson bounced up a little bit, but still not very strong. NVIDIA still looking really good. Got room, still got room up to 140. I like NVIDIA long. It's a little extended, but a decent long here right now. Hasn't got to the day's high yet. It's coming off of a pullback, but here's you see the chart, and this is where it opened this morning, and it's trying to get to the high of the day. SMCI also doing similar. AMD with a big move up. They had a $8 billion buyback of stock today that really juiced it up, juiced the company up, but it's just moving sideways right now. Again, I'm short J&J, which is moving up slightly. And I also have a call debit spread on Palantir, which is just moving sideways. And we're out of SMR. We took a nice profit in SMR this morning. Tesla moving nicely here up toward resistance. SPY moving up here now. There's Tesla with a nice move. Google's still kind of wedged in right at the resistance level. Nvidia also kind of flattening out just a bit here. And again, my J&J short, it's not doing much of anything, just moving sideways. Tesla right to the resistance level. See how it reacts right here? Is Tesla right to the resistance level at 347.3. It just went through it. Quite a big move here in Tesla on the 5-minute chart. This was a nice move. It's a big candle. Market gapped up, but now it's just kind of moving sideways.
I remember when you used to tell me the market wasn't used to
Nice little move up on the SPY here. Folks, YouTube, QA, UNH continues to be a great short. Yeah, it is. Again, I took some J&J puts today, just for an intraday trade. We took nice profits in our SMR last night. That was we took SMR overnight. Worked out beautifully. We get in for around 210, 208. I put a sell order for 3, but it sold it between 325 and 330 on the open. So people get filled at higher than what our bid was on it, which is kind of nice, or what our ask was on it. So that was a pretty nice trade. Good morning, Perry. Good morning. How do I decide, Sir Chris? How do I decide if I'm going to hold a trade that is going the wrong way? Like you're holding J&J, even though market is going up for the past 35 minutes. I see this time and time again, the pros hold their positions much longer than I would have thought they would. I thought you were supposed to get out of a position if you were wrong about the market or stock. Stock loses relative strength or relative weakness. About this wrong, because it's only on the 5 minute that J&J lost its relative weakness do I still pay attention to the longer term frames and know what the relative weakness will come back. Look, let's look at J&J, okay? And that's a good question. Let's look at J&J. Let's look at the daily chart on J&J. Now I took some puts. I'm trying to do a day trade on it, but I took some puts, and the puts could be I could get out of them today, but I took them for next week. Look at this chart, all right? And this is this bounce that you just saw in the market on J&J right here. See this little tiny little nub here at the bottom? See, had one yesterday. There's no reason that I would even consider getting out of this trade right now. So yeah, it bounced up a little bit, but this is the market. This is the market on the 5 minute chart right here. That's the SPY, right? And this is J&J. So it's moving up with the market, but not as quickly as the market is. Now the market's starting to roll over. It's likely to go back down again. So the whole reason I'm holding this is because of this. This tells me that there's no reason why I should get out of that trade. All right, so that's why I hold it. It's very important to understand that. And one of the rules I have in the room is that you use your daily chart first, unless you're just doing a scalping type trade, like a SPY super system trade off the indexes or something like that. Then you should be always looking at your daily chart and only trading off your daily chart when you get into a trade. In other words, the daily chart and the 5 minute chart need to be aligned. So when you get into a trade, you want the daily chart to be bullish and the 5 minute chart to be bullish, or the daily chart to be bearish and the 5 minute chart to be bearish, which is when I took Johnson & Johnson it was. But the daily chart remains bearish. That's what you're using for your key here on these kind of trades. It can be either intraday trades that last all day, or an overnight trade, or a 2 week out trade. That's really important to understand that. Yeah, this QA says the D1 is still weak longer term. It certainly is weak, yeah. Yeah, you're thinking about it wrong, sir. If you're thinking about the relative strength, relative weakness on a 5 minute basis, if you're scalping a trade during the day, that's fine. And if you're in a trade and you're up money on it, and it had relative strength, and you want to take profits, then it loses relative strength, and that's a good time to take profits. But it's not a reason to exit a trade just by itself. No, you've got to be using that day trade. You did the daily chart to focus on what direction that stock is likely to go. I mean, it's a technical call here on the J&J. It is a little extended to the downside, but it's still very, very weak. And there would be no reason. Same thing with Merck. Like Merck, there'd be no reason to exit Merck just because it bounced a little bit. I hope that clears up a little bit for you. It's really important. What you're talking about here is very, very important, because if you don't do that, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to get shaken out of all kinds of trades that you would have made profits in if you had stayed in the trade. I mean, I get people telling me all the time that the stock's gone against us. Shouldn't we be out now? the answer is is it still okay on the daily chart? Is it not? If it's short, has it not gone up through support, up through resistance? Or if it's long, has it not broken down to the support level? And that's the question you have to ask yourself on a trade, not whether it has relative strength or relative weakness intraday. If you're trying to swing the trade, so I hope that helps a little bit, because I see all the time people taking trades, getting out too quickly, and you hear the expressions, let your winners run and cut your losers short. Well, good luck trying to figure out how to do that, because cutting your losers short, you're going to be exiting all kinds of trades that still were technically strong, but they went against you for a bit, and you start losing money, and you're watching your P&L, and you bail on it. All right, so it's really important to follow that daily chart and not get shaken out on situations like that, because you're going to end up cutting a lot of trades that you shouldn't cut, and you're going to be giving up profits on those. Occasionally, you're going to be in a trade too long, and you're going to lose money on it. I have that happen quite often. But the point is, my win rate is still between about 85 and 90%, and I have to stay in trades a lot longer than some people would. But as long as it's technically set up on the daily chart in the direction I want to take it, then I'm going to stay with it. QA Cook pointing out there's a good rejection of the 200 SMA for ABBV. Yeah, ABBV is also a nice short, and today. Now, it has a nice rejection. I'll show you the ABBV chart here. All right, this because I have high volume horizontal support and resistance level. That 179. What is it? 179.84. That's a support level on Johnson Dretcher. See how it touched there? It also touched in a couple of other levels over here. Top of that candle, top of that candle. That's a high volume support level. So I wouldn't be taking it unless it broke down, and then you've got room down to 177. All right. Okay, I'll be back in a minute here. Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good. By yourself? Yeah.
Alfie, look who's here. Look who's here.
He's excited.
He's excited. I gotta get a couple of cookies for
That's
you.
on your book. That's good. You must like dogs. Yeah. You can tell. Can you tell? Good. Awesome. Right. Upstairs.
You going upstairs, Chris?
Yeah.
You got scoring?
Yeah, but I'm gonna do that later.
Okay. All right, cookie time. She's gonna give them to you, Alfie, not me. How are you? Fine. Oh, Alfie, look at that. You can get to stand up. Up you go, Alfie. Up. There you are. That's a good boy. Good boy. Alfie, sit. Sit. That's a boy. There you go. That's a good boy. A couple more for you. He loves those cookies. Here you go, buddy. All done.
Love you.
All done. All done, Alfie. All done. All right. Do you have many houses today? You have a lot of houses to do? A lot of work today for you? Like 2, 3 houses?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Busy. All right. Back here now. Let's see what we got. SPY again, just kind of moving sideways. Again, it's an LPTE, low probability trading environment day. Again, I did take some J&J puts. So far, not doing too much of anything. Tesla had a nice move up, now pulling back again. Went right to resistance and pulled back. Palantir not doing me much favors here. Again, pretty slow market day today. All right, so see if we have any other questions. All right, I got a few here. Bear with me here. William, you're amazed at the number of days I'm here at work. Been here less than a year, but don't remember you ever taking a day off or time off. Well, I mean, I take doctor's appointments and stuff. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a vacation first part of June. I took a couple of weeks off 2 years ago. My wife and I went to Iceland for a couple of weeks, and that was pretty nice. But yeah, I don't take much time off, as you've noticed. I mean, I'm running the room. I think it's I trade every day anyway, but it's important that I spend as much time as I can trying to educate and help people learn how to trade. That's what I do. So yeah, I don't take a lot of time off. My wife did take a vacation this year. She went over to Vietnam for a month. Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, but I didn't go. I stayed here. But I'm supposed to go to a wedding the first part of June. We'll see about. I'm thinking we're probably going to go up to New Hampshire and Vermont for a week or so. But I'll probably take 1 week off. But that'll be about it. Reddit nonstop greens. Yeah, it was very strong this morning. Yeah, and we're still moving up pretty strongly here. It's got room to another $5 to the upside on Reddit. It's pulling back a little bit right now. What is the J&J trade? Yeah, the J&J trade was, I took, let me give you the exact info on it. I took the May 23rd, next week's 149 puts. Next week's 149 puts, I paid $342 for them. They're at $333 right now. They get up to about $380 and then pull back a little bit, but I'm gonna hold on to them, see how they work. Again, we had a beautiful trade in SMR overnight that worked out beautifully. In about 210 and out for about 3.25. SPY still trying to move up here. Nice little move here after a big red candle. Now just kind of moving sideways. I don't really trust the market at all right now. Okay, let's get back over here. Let me see. You got a couple questions in the YouTube. Clear break above the previous day's low. Yeah, that's what you like to look for. You remember one thing about the previous day's trading range. All right, typically the previous day's high and the previous day's low are gonna unless you gap above it or below it, those are going to be some resistance levels. There's going to be some resistance at the previous day's high, and there's going to be some support at the previous day's lows. So break down below those levels or a break above that level is important. Okay, like if I'm looking at Johnson & Johnson, what was important this morning is you can see that it see where it opened. It opened inside of yesterday's candle right here. It hadn't broken the low, but see, once it breaks the low of yesterday, this temporary support level is broken. All right, so now it's breaking down. And you see it's pulling back up again a little bit. But again, that was the level that would have been that would have been a problem. I typically don't take them unless they're below the previous day's low for a short and above the previous day's high for a high. All right. You look at like Tesla this morning, gap up. You don't have to worry about the yesterday's high and low. It gapped up above it. Okay, just kind of a rule of thumb that I use. Because again, previous day's highs and lows are automatically support and resistance levels if it doesn't gap above them. Bruce, what if there's multiple green candles for the past 3 days? Would you be willing to go down past the previous day's low, giving you still above the support, like SMAs and algos? You know, it depends. It depends on the daily chart. Again, when I take J and J, I'm not gonna. If I'm in this J and J short, right? I'm looking at this. I don't want it to recapture the today's high. I don't want it to get above yesterday's low here. I don't want to get back up here with that. Once you see that 149.04, that's a resistance level that has now become. That's a support level that's become a resistance level. It broke through it yesterday. It's a high volume resistance level, and it's breaking down. So I'm going to stay short here. I don't even when I'm looking at a 5-minute candles, I don't even worry about any of this stuff right now. This is what I'm looking at. I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like at the end of the day. Too many traders get all wrapped up in 5-minute candles when they're swing trading, and they miss the big picture. So if you're looking at a trade and you're red on the trade, first of all, you shouldn't be looking at your P&L. But if you're red on the trade, then what happens is you get all tied up in these 5-minute candles, and you start to freak out when you get a bunch of 5-minute candles going against you, and you've neglected to change your chart over to the daily chart and see what it looks like on the daily chart, because that's what matters, not what it's doing right now. What's the daily chart going to look like? You can have a bunch of candles go against you, and you freak out, you panic, you're losing money, so you bail on the trade, and you come back at the end of the day, and it's right back into the trend it was in before. Jeff, reviewing how I have 177 as the next level of support. An ABBV, I mentioned high volume candles. 512 is a high volume, of course, but then you stated the next support level was around 177 on HVV. Let me see. Let me look at ABBV. Yeah, here's 177. I don't want to give away all my secrets here, but there's the support level right there, 177. I said the next one is down here at 177.10. I get lines drawn there. If I've got a line drawn at 177.10, there's high volume. See the high volume line here? High volume there, high volume there, high volume there. You see this line going through those? That's how I do it, off a high volume. I mean, this is some of the stuff I try to teach to folks who are subscribers. So, and I have videos and all these kind of things, but that's where that came from. Right, Jeff? You did again. It's kind of these high volume lines are something that not very many people use. I've found to be very, very effective. And hey, listen, nothing works 100% of the time, but I find it to be very effective. Your LQDA 15 is up 80%. Very nice. I'm in calls on this thing, and I'm going to take some of them off today and hold the others. In fact, I just peeled some off here just a little while ago on LQDA. So I still have some left, however. I'm going to hold them to the PDUFA, but a lot of times and I don't know if you know more about this than I do as far as these PDUFAs are concerned, but I know a lot of times there's anticipation of those things, and a lot of times the stock price will run up into them, and a lot of the gains are already in. And then of course if it comes out real good news or real bad news, it can make a dramatic move. But a lot of times the move is it seems to me a lot of times the move has already been there, and you can take profits ahead of time. You typically take 50% of the profits the day before the PDUFA. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Jeff, did I answer your question on that? Did you see what I was showing when I showed that 177 level on Johnson and Johnson? Again, I'm sorry, on ABBV. So again, let's take a look at the high volume lines. All right, so this is how I draw them. Okay, I have where I just have the high volume lines highlighted in white. All right. So there's a few of them here, right? There's a 179, but you can see how that particular line. Look at the high volume candle here, and today. Then today's not a high volume candle, but it's this today is respecting that candle right there. All right, and then I got a 177. I'm looking at the top of this candle here, and the bottom of this candle. In other words, it goes through some candles, but there are quite a few candles down there where that 177 level is likely to hold. Right? I can go back, and there's even one over here. So that's how I do that. You know, there is some subjectiveness about these things when you draw these, but it helps me a lot to put those lines on the chart. Doesn't mean that they're going to hold all the time, or they're going to hold for support or break for resistance or whatever. But they do give me a good look to make a determination of whether I want to take the trade. I'd much rather take it once it's broken above a resistance level or below a support level than when it's approaching it. Showing the high volume white candles was very helpful. Yeah, I do that on my TC2000 chart. I color code the candles based on volume of over 120% of normal up to 100. I have a different color for 150% of normal. You also find value in those high volume candles at support resistance levels. Yeah, they definitely help. Again, I don't know anybody else, very few people that use anything like that. But you think of it logically, right? What are high volume candles? Well, typically there usually is some institutional involvement at those levels. So that helps you with that. I'm looking at my SPY super system over here to see if the institutions are in these trades or not in these trades. But if they're in the trades, then that even gives me a higher level of conviction. All right. And if I look at J&J, okay, which you can see is just kind of moving sideways here, but let's switch to the daily chart, which is the important chart, right? J&J. What is the system telling me? It's telling me that it's bearish across the board, and it has been since right down on here 5.8, right? So it's been bearish since here. You see, it went from green to yellow, buying to selling, but this was already selling, and now we're at max selling on this the multi-time momentum, current time frame momentum, and the trend. All of these are bearish. So, you know, this is it doesn't mean they're going to stay that way, but for right now, that's a very bearish trade. And so why would I ever consider getting out of that trade right now? I wouldn't. QA, looks like Google did a clear break above the 5.7 candle to the upside. Yeah, Google's had a lot of strength this morning. Yeah, again, it did break above the 5.7 candle, but again, I have a high volume resistance level at 166.49 on Google. All right, wasn't just the top of that candle, because that was a high volume candle right there. But I've got another high volume candle right here. This one I can see pretty easily, but there's another high volume candle. You see what it's done there so far. How are the white candles determined? The white candle, I just mentioned, Brian, the white candles are determined by 120% of daily volume. I mean, that's an arbitrary number. Could make it 130, 115, I've got some colors for 150 in there. I have a different setup that I use for that. But again, it's just the fact that there's more volume than normal. Again, I would expect Google, by the way, to find some resistance right here on this level, and it hit 166.49, went up slightly above it, and I would expect to be at least some temporary resistance right there. Again, these things don't work all the time, but they're pretty accurate. Again, you know, when you're trading against other retail traders, who's we're trading against? We're trading against other retail traders. So what we need to beat them, we can't beat the institutions. What we need to beat them is, A, we need to know if the institutions are in the trade. That's what the SPY Super System software does for you. That's why this software is so powerful, and it's such a huge advantage to have this. And not very many retail traders own this. I mean, a lot of people own it, but nothing like, which, as far as I'm concerned, what should own it, because it tells you whether institutions are in trades or not. And that's the one thing that most retail traders don't know. The next thing is they don't understand how to trade relative strength and relative weakness, right? That they don't understand how important that is. They don't understand how to do good technical analysis. They're getting their selections by listening to news or to feeds from some social media site. So basically, they're listening to people who don't know any more about than they do about trading. Okay, they just don't. So, you know, what I try to offer here in the room and with the software is the best high probability trade strategies that there are that work most of the time. 80%, 85, 80, 90% in that range. And I don't think you're going to get too much better than that. I don't think you're ever going to get better than that anywhere else consistently. And it's the consistency that makes a difference. You know, the SMR trade was a perfect trade. You know, we took SMR yesterday. We took SMR. When did we take SMR? Yesterday. Look at the break in SMR. See the 100-day moving average? See it broke above the 100-day moving average, and it was in this level here. See this high volume resistance right here. So we took it yesterday, and we got a gap up this morning. We took it off. It's, you know, these things are very effective. Let's take a look at SMR on the SPY Super System. Is SMR today? Is it bullish? Sure, still bullish, but let's look at what was important. What's the daily chart look like? Look at this. Green, green, green. So, you know, you got the institutions buying this thing. I mean, it's just, you know, with that information, it's extremely important to be able to see it, which is why this piece of software is such a big advantage. You know, and you can use this for the SPY Super System trades as well. This works beautifully on SPY Super System trades. And again, this was a SPY Super System setup, but am I going to take it today? I'm not, because there's no trend right now. I mean, it would have worked. You would have made some money on this thing, but there's just not much trend to the market. It's just all over the place. So what you want to do is you want to join a trend that moves up. If you've got a good trend, and then it comes back, and then it bounces and goes back into the trend for what the day trend looks like. That's what's called context, and that is one of the important things to also understand. Okay? I think I've pontificated enough. About 12:20 here. All right, eating in about another 10 minutes. I'll grab some lunch. The only thing I'm in right now is a Palantir's call debit spread from yesterday, which gone against me a little bit today, and J&J, which is coming back down again. SPY again, just chop, chop, chop. Again, it's a low probability trading environment here. I mean, there's no question about it. And you're getting a lot of stocks that were strong that are pulling back. Look at Reddit here. Very strong today. Pulling back. Google. Whoops. Again, went right to that resistance level I mentioned and been pulled back a little bit. Still very strong stock. Palantir is also pulling back with the techs. NVIDIA not so much. NVIDIA is still pushing up nicely here. 588. NVIDIA 134.90. 134 was the resistance level. It's just going through that. Pretty nice move there in NVIDIA. Harry pointing out Wing has relative strength. WING. Yeah, really nice grind up on Wing today. It's right almost to the 200-day moving average. Very close. Yeah, $5 below the 200. Yeah, the 200's at about 313. Yeah, so about $5. That's a pretty tight range on a $308 stock. It came out of compression. Yep. Yeah, it did, and it moving up pretty nicely with a Heikenite reversal. Yeah, doesn't care what the market's doing. Get good relative strength for sure. You get about $5 to the upside on Wing. There it is, right there. Again, I'm still in J&J short. Starting to pull back a little bit. SPY with a bounce here. Nice little green candle. Next resistance on SPY, 588.45. Right at it, right now. There's a bunch of high volume resistance levels here. 588.45, then another one at 590.49. And there's Wing that Ari was just talking about, grinding up very nicely. Yeah, sorry, my mic is off. I got because work going on in the house right now. It's kind of noisy. So I'm going to take a chance and take the time and get a little something to eat. And before I leave, I'll go ahead and the Carvana extremely strong pats. Yeah, Carvana. Nice move up in Carvana today. Still moving up. Very nice breakout on the CVNA. I like it. I still have the Palantir CDS. I do, William. I do. Yeah, pull back with the market. I still got a Palantir. Pulled out the call debit spread expiring on Friday. Still like the chart. Chart's still very nice. Carvana, very nice, Joe. Thank you. Joe says the market internals look like they're in a lawn chair. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna grab some lunch and just shut the mic off here because it's kind of noisy. So I'll be back in just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and close down the YouTube feed for the day. Again, I want to thank all the folks from YouTube for being here. Appreciate you being in the room and or being in the YouTube and watching the broadcast. Hope to see some of you folks over here in the room at some point in time. Again, this is a SPY super system here, and I would highly recommend that it's a really good investment to own this piece of software to help you trading. It's made a huge difference in mine, and it's the cornerstone of what makes us so successful in the room with our high win rate and our profitability month after month. All right, I'll go ahead and close that down, and then I'm going to shut the mic off so I can get some lunch and not deafen you with all this noise.